As Gita said, my name's Nathan Smith. I work here at the City of Round Rock. I work within the Information Technology Department, and my team is responsible for all of the geospatial services that the city provides, be that GIS, asset management, permitting and land management, and so forth. And so the focus of this is we wanted to share what geospatial and GIS resources are available to all of our local business owners. So a quick background about me. I told you what I do here at the City of Round Rock. Prior to working at the City of Round Rock, I lived in California, and I was working for the leading GIS software company. I also have worked at various other locations. I worked at a copper mine for a little bit, and I worked at the Arizona Department of Water Resources. So I'm very excited to share with y'all today what some of the GIS resources that we have for you are. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. And can everybody see my screen okay?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Let me try again. Share screen 2. Alrighty.
There you go.
Perfect. Alrighty. So I just wanted to give some quick background on this specific workshop. So our previous workshop, we had to combine workshops 1 and 2 because of the snowstorm that we had. And so for those that weren't able to participate in that workshop, I just wanted to give a real quick catch up of what we were able to accomplish. So we covered the basics of GIS, what it is, how it works, and then we also went over some different industries that use it. And some various real life scenarios of how you can apply GIS. And so I just wanted to review those again real quick with y'all. And I think the big activity that we did that really helped drive some of these concepts home was this new startup company for bike kiosk repair and rentals. So we made that mock scenario where we needed to identify some test markets, right? We had data, we had all of the trails across the city of Round Rock, all of the current bike shops, we had the ETJ boundary, but we had to meet this set of criteria in order to identify an ideal test market. And after we went through those various analysis steps, our result was this map. All of the areas in blue met all of our criteria. And so I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what we did last time and what the activity was. And if you were there, just a quick reminder and refresher of the concepts and activity that we did. So before we get started on how you would go about doing this with resources in mind, did anybody have any questions regarding the last workshop's activity, or just any general questions before we start? Keep an eye on the chat as well. You can unmute and speak up, or just leave a comment in the chat. All righty.
Good so far, Nathan.
Perfect. Thank you. All righty. So again, today we want to cover resources, right? So this scenario that we went over last time was pre-built, right? I did all of the work in collecting the data and throwing the map together, and then I showed y'all how we would actually go about performing spatial analytics. But how do you get started? Where do you start in finding the data? I mean, what terms can you search? Where do you search? So that's what I want to focus on today. And I'm excited to share the resources that the City of Round Rock has available. So the very first thing that I want to cover today is the City of Round Rock's GeoHub. just by, let's see, if you have heard of the City of Round Rock GeoHub, can you just put a yes in the chat? I'm curious if anyone's heard of this or used it before. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, Sunil, that's fantastic. Anyone else? All righty. So Sunil, you're one step ahead of the game here. Congratulations. So out of the 17 participants we have today, Sunil, you have some experience with this, but for those that don't, the City of Round Rock GeoHub, and here, let me share a couple URLs for everybody. I wanted to share this story map from last week. So this, just in case you weren't here last time, this is the dynamic slideshow that we went through. It's called a story map. And then I'm also going to share this resource in the chat. We'll be sending out a document after the workshop, but I'll include it here just in case. So what is the GeoHub? Last workshop, we went over what location-based data is, or geospatial data. It's very unique in that it consists of some type of locational aspect, some spatial component, right? We talked about the differences between normal data and location data. So for example, age groups. If I have data regarding age groups, that is not geospatial data. However, if I have the data for fire hydrants or addresses across a city or a county, that is all location-based data. It has either coordinates or an address, a state, a zip code, anything that is locational in nature. So we have put together this hub for the public, for city officials, local business owners, and local contractors and developers to access our data without needing to put in a data request. And our GeoHub has been very successful in providing that data dynamically to all of the viewers. So let's kind of explore this GeoHub a little bit. So when you navigate to the GeoHub, you'll see a search bar. And this is probably one of the easiest ways to find what you're looking for. Our most popular data set is the zoning districts. And so you can see we have various zoning district data, billing zones, pressure zones, what have you. You can also explore our data through our data categories. So if you know just the general theme of what you're looking for, maybe you've had some contact with our Parks and Recreation department, or you've been working with our folks in the transportation department, we've organized all of those data into these data set categories. And I can show you what those look like. So if we come here to, let's just say Parks and Rec. If you click on this category, you'll be able to identify all of our Parks and Rec content. So you can see we have various data that you can work with either dynamically or download. All of our disc golf course data, parks data, certain trails, ponds and lakes, trailheads, trail access points. Some of you may have hiked along or biked along some of our trails. We have various mile markers. All of those are mapped out. Amenities across trails, and anything you can think of, we have available for you. Pools, play fields, parking lots, etc. And so that's just a taste of what kind of data we have in here for each of those categories. But let's actually click on one of these and take a look at what's available. So if you click on one of our data sets, it will immediately take you to that content with this little map viewer that's embedded into the window here. So you can explore the data here within this map. And you can also look at the non-spatial data. If you click on the data tab, I can see that this data is assigned various information that's probably not super helpful for people outside of the city. Maybe the most helpful thing for this data set would be the type. Is that a tea or is that a basket? And all of this other information is important for internal operations. But we provide everything and pride ourselves in transparency nonetheless. So once you've explored our data and just given yourself an overview of what columns are there, what data seems to be related, you have a few options. You can download these data sets and they're always up to date. Keep in mind, when you download the data set, it will be a snapshot of the data at the time that you download it. Or you can work with various APIs, and I'll show y'all how to do that later on within this workshop. So that is the bulk of what our GeoHub is offering. We're offering content that's organized into categories, and we're allowing you to download all of that data at your convenience without requiring a open data request. Some other resources that we have available to you are some of our web applications. Web applications, as we talked about last time, are simply ways to consume the data, to view the data in an organized manner. It has a specific purpose, right? And one of our best resources is this current development map. Can we do the same thing? Can you give me a yes in the chat if you've heard of or used Round Rock's current development map before? Okay, I'm checking the chat here. Sunil, you're on top of things. You've used our current development map and the GeoHub. Very good. Okay, looks like the majority of us have not used this. So let's go over that resource real quick. The current development map in Round Rock looks like this. So let me open up the legend here and show you how to navigate this. The current development map shows all of the various small site and subdivision permits that we have. And it also shows various large developments and what phase of development they're in. Is that currently in the zoning phase? Is it currently in the preliminary plat phase? Is it simply an agreement? And this can be very helpful for business owners to understand where people are doing things, where commercial development is happening. And so let's explore that real quick. So we offer a few filters for you within this filter widget. If I just want to see ones that are currently under construction, this is not only a useful tool for business owners, but citizens as well. You may be driving around the city and be wondering, are they building a Torchy's right there? It looks like they're building a restaurant, and I'm not sure what they're doing. Or it looks like they're building a gas station, but I'm not sure what exactly they're building. You can filter the map to look at content that's under construction. And from here, you can click on that content. So I can see here, we have an Ironwood connection facility that's currently under construction off of Texas Avenue. In the downtown area, we have a few permits that are currently under construction. We're working on the Sloan office building. We're also doing some remodels to Liberty Avenue and some additions there as well. We're currently constructing an SPAI office downtown. I see a comment in the chat. Let me take a look here. Karen's asking if this is commercial only. It shouldn't be. Let me double check here. Let's turn this filter off. Small, and let's just look at small site development permits. And I'm looking for residential areas. Okay, yes. We have this Main Street retail residential. Good question, Karen. I think for, yeah, parking addition, I think to maintain the privacy of our residents, we only expose permits that were not initiated by a resident. So, you know, if you want to put an air conditioner in your treehouse in your backyard, we don't expose that to the public. Let's see, we got another comment in the chats. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Karen. Alrighty, and let me show you what else you can do here. So we've gone over permits, right? Subdivision improvement permits is basically the same thing. I can see what exactly is going on. We referenced the permit number in here. If you want to take that to City Council, we provide that to you. But let's look at some of the larger projects. So I'm going to turn off some of these other layers, and we're just going to look at the large developments. So from here, we can see this one right here is approved for planning and zoning. It's a preliminary plat. And this description here is what it's going to contain. It's 72 acres. It's going to be residential. And there's going to be an HOA, a drainage, an open space. This can be helpful for business owners to understand what's happening across the city of Round Rock and where, if you want to focus your marketing efforts in certain areas. Another one we can look at is right here. Everyone's familiar with this area, right? Vizcaya. So we provide a lot of information. And when I say we, our planning department provides a lot of information. So this Avery North PUD is going to be about 380 acres. And it's going to be family residential sized, family residential lots. 30% of those need to be 7,500 square feet or greater. Half of them are going to be 9,100 square feet or larger. And it also looks like we're dedicating some open space to make enhancements like public parks, green belts, hiking, belt trails. And there's going to be some townhome built here as well. So again, understanding this information as a business owner can really help you identify where you need to focus your efforts. This is a great resource, not only for business owners, but also for citizens and just wanting to understand what's happening across the city. We have a pane on the bottom here that provides the data to you in like a list format. Some of us just prefer to view things in a tabular format, right? Not spatially. And we have two columns or two tabs here that allow you to just look at the permits or just look at the large development polygons within the map. You can filter by the current map extent with this button here. So if I zoom in to the map, you'll see that my list gets much smaller, and now there's only 7 features here. So maybe I don't want to click on every single one of these to find out information. You can simply filter on the map here and double click an item. It will zoom to it for you, and it will also pull up the pop-up information. This has been a really successful web application that we've provided and can also be a very helpful resource to y'all. Do y'all have any questions about this application before we move on to some more resources? Alrighty, fantastic. So let's keep moving on here. I think most of you may be aware of our COVID-19 dashboard that the city has been providing to users. I mean, that can also be helpful for small business owners. Let me pull that up for everyone. This dashboard is simply meant to provide an update with a focus on our county and our city, on where we're currently at in our COVID-19 surveillance. So we offer various information that we're pulling from other data sources, like the State Department of Health and Human Services, the county's city health district, and we're compiling all of that information into this dashboard for those who may want to keep track of this information. I won't explore the COVID-19 surveillance dashboard in detail today, because it is offered on our city website if you just Google Round Rock COVID-19. But I did just want to show y'all real quick that we are offering spatial and non-spatial data within the dashboard. Another helpful tool that we get a lot of requests on from developers is understanding our water lines. They want to make sure that they build near existing water lines. They want to understand the material type. And so we have an application that covers all of this for you. So you'll see that we have different colors, but we also have different sized lines. And so the colors here on the legend identify the material. Is it PVC? Is it an old rusty pipe from the 50s? And what size pipe is that? Is that like a big main that's over 54 inches? Or is that a really small pipe that's closer to 15 inches? And exploring this map and identifying what's available to you, whether you're trying to build a new retail location or develop commercial or residentially, this can be a great resource for you. And you can see that each segments of the pipes also provide various information, whether or not it's an active pipeline, what's the type of it, is it a water main, is it just a service line, where did we get the data from, was it provided from an as-built from a developer, and various other information, the street it's along. All right, any questions about some of those featured web applications that we covered today? All righty, fantastic. Actually, looks like we have one. Let's see. Does the data show last updated for the info? Let's see, Karen, which application were you referring to?
Really, any of them.
Okay. Yeah, I see. So that's a good question. So the data is updated at various intervals, depending on the data set. For example, our water lines, we have editors that are inputting new water lines almost daily. And then other data sets like, let's say, zoning districts, those only get updated whenever something is rezoned. And that could be once a year, or it could be once a month. It really depends on, again, the type of data that you're looking at. But I can show you where that would be located. So let's, we were just looking at water lines. So how about we check that out in the GeoHub, where you can figure that out. I will just pick a random layer that has to do with our water lines, just so you can see what the data looks like. And so, all right, I'm going to test y'all. Where would I check and see if the last time the data was updated would be in this page.
It almost looked like your prior screen had that, but I don't know if that's that page or if that was the underlying data.
I see.
It had a last updated. I presume that was for that page.
Okay, let's go back and see what we were looking at here.
See at the top.
I see.
That's for this page, or is that for the data itself?
Great question. That is for this page. So the data itself might have something different. Like this could be just metadata, like we updated the description or
for the layer, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back into the data. And remember, the overview tab shows us all the different columns within the data. Does anybody see a column that shows potentially when the data was updated?
You're on an overview tab. Would it be on the data tab?
It will be there as well. But this right here is a good indication the last time the data was edited. And so if you click on these fields, it shows you a breakdown of like when the data was updated.
Okay.
And so you can see out of the 100 and what was it? I think it was 177 raw lines that we have. Looks like one of them was updated in 2021, but we can figure out where or when specifically, like you said, Karen, by clicking the data tab, and now we can explore it in detail. So I'm looking for a column that says like last edited. And here we go, the last edited date. Okay. So keep in mind, this may not be in the correct order. You might want to click on the column to sort it. And I'm going to sort it descending. So the most recent raw water line that was added was January 4th of this year. And if I want an overall view, remember I can check this little mini map that we have here. And these are our raw, try and say that 5 times fast, raw water line that connects from Lake Georgetown that feeds the city's utility services. And we had a new one again that was put in January that was missing from the data set. So if you're ever wondering when the last update to the data itself, not necessarily the layer and the site and the metadata, you're always welcome to check the data tab and the overview tab to see when that happened.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about the data? Alrighty, fantastic. So let's go back to the hub, the Round Rock GeoHub homepage here. And I did want to mention that we do have an email list that gets distributed internally to Round Rock employees. If you ever have any questions like, hey, I'm trying to find this data set and maybe I'm searching the wrong word, is that available? You're always welcome to send an email here. Or we have a short survey that we would like end users to fill out. And it just asks some very basic information about how your experience was, what, did you connect to the data? Did you download data? How would you rate our overall hub? We want to make sure that we build this out appropriately to fit y'all's needs. So please provide us feedback whenever it's convenient for you. In a nutshell, that's our hub, but there is some other content that I wanted to review with you and features that are available in the hub.
Hey, Nathan, this is Jerome.
Hi, Jerome.
Hi. Thank you for doing this, by the way. This is really helpful. Is there any revenue data, like where sales tax, maybe in a higher sense, not to get to have any privacy issues, but in general, where revenue occurs in a physical location within the city of Round Rock? Is there any map of that for, say, retail type businesses?
That's a great question. We are currently working on making that available to y'all. So there's nothing available right now, but we have so much data that we want to provide to y'all, whether it's public safety data, financial data, utility data. It's an ongoing process of compiling the data and joining it with our current spatial data sets. So while we don't have anything currently available that we're providing, I'm going to be talking about some other resources that are available in the interim, if you're interested.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's continue with exploring what features are available to y'all through the hub here. So let's go into planning. And we're going to click on our zoning districts here. And I think all of you are familiar with zoning districts and the importance that they play in business. But I wanted to show you that there's a little bit more you can do with our data aside from just looking at it here and exploring the non-spatial data in this list. There's a couple buttons over here that allow you to work with the data further. And if you've created an ArcGIS login, you'll have an option to create a map. And this is native to our GeoHub. So let's say you are currently working on a project or you're doing some research and you wanted to just have a space where you can make some notes and add other layers just within a basic map creator. We offer that to y'all for free. So let's say, I'm doing research and I want to add a pin here. I can do that, and I can add a comment. Need to look into this zone further. I can create polygons as well. So something like this. This is going to be my test market area. And you have the ability to add layers within our GeoHub directly into this. So let's say I want to add, let's just do something fun like disc golf. And you'll have to make sure that we change the from, and I'll be providing instructions on this. The reason why disc golf didn't come up for me is I was looking for stuff that I've made before, and I want to be looking at the city of Round Rock. So here's the disc golf data. Let's go ahead and add it. And you can see here, now I have a couple layers within this native map creator. Once you've done that, you can save your map, and it will be saved within your account that you have with us. And you can see here it's saved to my profile. So if I go to my profile, I can see some content that I've created, and I can see this new zoning districts map that I just created. So that was one last feature that I wanted to share with everybody, that this is a little bit more than data exploration, data extraction, but you can also create your own maps within our GeoHub. Alrighty. If you're familiar with some different GIS platforms and software, we discussed earlier the ability to download our data. And you can view that in various formats. Like, let's say I'm not super GIS savvy. I'm a data nerd. I like looking at data in spreadsheets. Then you can download our data in a spreadsheet, and you don't have to, add the mapping component. If you are a Google Earth nerd, you just love Google. Google uses this file type called a KML, and you're welcome to use that option as well. But if you want to stay native to what we're doing in the ArcGIS platform that we use, then certainly the APIs and the shape files are going to be your best friend. So speaking of ArcGIS, we talked a lot last workshop about what you can do with ArcGIS. Our activity was created within the ArcGIS Online platform. And so can I get, give me just a yes if you went ahead and created an ArcGIS account after our previous workshop. Let's get an idea of how many of you are working with that account. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat here. Okay. All righty. No problem at all. So this would be a good opportunity for us to review ArcGIS for those that weren't here. And for those that were, we'll just go over the process of creating the account, because that's where you'll have most functionality and most features available to you. So I will be sending this out in the document after the workshop as well. But the best resource for you is going to be going to arcgis.com. I'm going to add that in the chat. And creating an account. Once you've created an account, so I'm going to go ahead and just sign in here. Once you've created an account, the most helpful resource available to you is going to be this map tab. And this map tab is going to allow you to take your mapping and your data exploration and data analysis even further. So last activity, we created this result, right? Using various spatial analytical tools and adding this data. So the next thing that I want to show everyone outside of the Round Rock GeoHub is what resources are available from Round Rock through ArcGIS. And so the first thing that I want to show you is how the heck did I make this map? I didn't sit here drawing it. I simply found the resources within ArcGIS, and I leveraged the ones that Round Rock is providing. So from last week's activity, let's go ahead and try to recreate this map. And so we had various layers in here, right? We had bike shops, we had the Round Rock extraterritorial jurisdiction, and trails data. So in order to start adding data, you're going to click the add button. And then you're going to click search for layers. Pro tip, by default, this will search only your content again. If you want to search like the world, change it to ArcGIS Online. I want to search everything available within the ArcGIS Online repository. Once you're here, then you can start looking for layers. Here's another pro tip. The city of Round Rock uses the RRTX tag on our data sets. So if you're looking to like add like the Round Rock city limit, I want to know where the boundaries are. Add the RRTX tag before, and you'll see here are the Round Rock city limits provided by the city of Round Rock. And in order to get this data into the map, you're just going to click the plus symbol. Or if you want some further information on the data before you add it, simply click in the white space and we'll have a description. We'll let you know if this is one of our authoritative data sets, if there are any terms of use, and any credits and attribution. So let's go ahead and you can add it to the map through this blue button or the plus button right here. And you can see it's that easy to search for data within ArcGIS Online and add it to your map. Jerome, you were looking for sales data or asking about sales data earlier. You have a couple options when you're in ArcGIS Online. You can simply search for content that fits your needs. So if I just want to see what kind of sales data people have put out or different organizations have put out, you can see, I mean, there's a plethora of data being pushed out regarding sales, or I think it was taxes, right? Property tax assessments, tax parcels. I would encourage all of you to just explore these data sets. But we also have the ability to enrich our data through the data enrichment tool. So for those that weren't here at the last session, last time we found some census tract data that we thought was a really good way to hone in on some local areas. I'm going to show you guys something even cooler. The city of Round Rock provides neighborhood data. And you can see here to find that, I just added the RRTX tag and typed in neighborhoods. And this right here is an indication. Remember that this is an authoritative data set. This isn't just Joe Schmo drawing things in the map and making them available to everybody. This is an actual organization. So you can see here, someone here created a potential new points of interest layer, but that was not provided by the city of Round Rock. This is what you're going to want to look for when adding data. So let's add this neighborhood data set. And this can also be very helpful for business owners. I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick rundown of this data set, but you can see here, this is obviously Terra Vista, right? We've got Paloma Lake, Ryan's Crossing over by the Dell Diamond, and Brushy Creek as some quick examples. Now, what can I do with this after I have it? So last time we were working with census tracts and we were able to find data and add it through ArcGIS. I hope everyone remembers that was here last time. But if I want to add data set, different data to this that's not contained within here, I can use this analysis tool and I can enrich my data. We're going to go ahead and enrich our neighborhoods layer. And I can select various variables that I want to include in here. Jerome, you said sales tax, right? Doesn't look like there's any, well, Oh, taxis. That's why it pulled up. Property taxes. Taxes. See if anything comes up. Vehicle property taxes. Dwelling property taxes. Okay, well, I'll show you guys one of these just so you get an idea of what we can do. So it doesn't look like sales tax data is available, Jerome, but I want to show you how we can go about enriching the data through various things. So let's look at like consumer spending. That would probably be the most beneficial for y'all, right? So last time we looked at how much consumers spent on bicycle equipment last time, right? We wanted to identify areas that had higher than average spending habits with bicycle equipment. So let's see if we can find something else that would be of interest. Let me check the chat real quick and just catch up, see if we've got anything. Okay, Regina is asking, what does extraterritorial mean? Okay, so that's a good question. So the city of, I can explain this spatially better than I can verbally. So so you can see here we have the city of Round Rock city limit. And I'm going to add our ETJ. All right. Can you guys see that the city limit, I'm going to change the color here. Let's just do something bold. There we go. Do you guys see that the city limit is smaller than our extraterritorial jurisdiction? That is because every municipality, every city, not only has a city limit, but they have what's called an ETJ, or extraterritorial jurisdiction. I'm sure y'all have met someone who doesn't live within the city limits of, like, let's say Round Rock or Austin, but on their mailing address, it says Round Rock, right? And that's because cities have this ETJ. So while you may live outside of our city limits, like a good example is Terra Vista, right here. Terra Vista is not within the city of Round Rock. It's not within the city of Georgetown either. It's simply within our ETJ. So what that means is, while you're not entitled to the full services that the city of Round Rock provides to its city limit citizens, we provide you the same level of services, you know, at different cost. So Terra Vista gets that they can receive, if they're not within a municipal utility district or a PUD, they could potentially receive utility services, emergency services, fire, police, what have you. So, like, this is a great example. Have y'all ever driven on Redbud Lane north of 79? And you see these really nice HOAs over here. There's one area right here. It's an island within our city. They are not part of our city limits and are not subject to, you know, the HOA and the city ordinances that we have in place, you know, like having a boat in your front yard and it's covered in grass. So I can show you a quick imagery. of that rather than the default base map. So this is that island I was telling you about right here. So you can already see like the differences between these neighborhoods here and then this island right here. It's almost like a square that stands out. And they are not subject to our same standards. However, they are within our ETJ. And so we provide them emergency services, utility services, and so forth. So hopefully that, sorry, I apologize if that was a very long way of me explaining what an ETJ is, but hopefully that was helpful for you. Alrighty. Any extra questions about that, Regina? All right, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with the enrichment of our data real quick. So I'm going to switch the base map back to just the default. And we want to explore these neighborhoods, right? Just some spending. In the chat, or you can take yourself off mute. Can some of you just give me some ideas of consumer spending that you want to get an idea on? And to give you, again, an example of what we did last time, we found out how much people spent on bikes last activity. So let's see what we have in the chat. Bicycle repair, let's see if that's in there. Doesn't look like there's anything on bike repair, Faith. I can find, what about auto repair? Is that somewhat along the same lines? Okay, perfect. And then, okay, so I see you have general recreation, Faith, and auto repair. How about we add both of those? So let's see. I want to know how much, let's see. How many people had an oil change in 2020? And then let's see what's under consumer spending. Shoe repair, tailoring repair. Yeah, that won't help us. So let's just see, let's just find out how many people had an oil change. And then just general recreational spending, right, Faith? So let's see, recreation. Consumer spending. Let's do 2020. We won't do 2025. We're not doing forecasting yet. Let's see. So trips, recreational expenses. I think this one might be better. There we go. So just in general, how much did people spend on entertainment, recreation? Or we could do dating services, online dating services, online gaming services. Do any of those look interesting? Camping equipment. Camping. Okay, let's do camping. So I'm seeing the camp fees average, the camp fees. Let's see, let's just type in camping. Let's see if there's anything. There we go. I don't want the average or the index. I just want to know how much was spent on camping. And as a friendly reminder, if you're wondering where the data came from, you're always you can always hover over the I symbol, and the I will tell you who the data was sourced from, and Arcgis simply compiles it for you within this platform. So this came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So let's go ahead and hit apply. And so we're going to find out how much, we're going to find out changing motor oil and how much was spent on camping equipment. And this is going to be, we'll call it neighborhoods, auto and camping, just so that we have that. We're going to go ahead and run the analysis. And essentially what it's going to do behind the scenes is it's going to take every single one of these neighborhoods that you see here, and it's going to compile the information into each neighborhood. So I'll be able to find out once this analysis is done, hey, how many people in Terra Vista had their oil changed? How many people in Brushy Creek, or how much did people in Brushy Creek spend on camping? So let's take a look at that. It's done. So I'm going to turn off the old one. Oh, shoot. You know what? I did the wrong thing. I did it. I did it on the city limits. I apologize, y'all. Let's do that again. So you can see I had why paying attention to this is important. So we're going to do neighborhoods, not city limits. And then let's do camping. And we did auto. This one right there. Okay. Alrighty, that's what we want. Sorry about that. Let's see if we have any questions in the meantime. I read that a new Round Rock Public Library is in planning. Do they use this platform for their decision-making process? That's a great question, Carolyn. The library does in fact use GIS to make data-driven decisions. Gita, did you want to chime in perhaps and maybe talk about how the library uses GIS to make decisions?
Yes, I can. So one of the things we use GIS for is to see the amount of library card hold, not the amount, but where our library card holders are situated. So we reached out to Nathan and we wanted to see even when building the new library. So in a year and a half, we're going to have a new library right across the street from us. But prior to that, when selecting the site, we reached out again to GIS to ask them where would be a good, where would be the best location for a new library. And we had these requirements in a neighborhood by schools, as close to schools as possible, especially middle school and elementary school, so people could walk near city facilities, downtown. So we've used GIS for that, and then to see where our card holders are. And right now we're going to start in just 2-3 weeks, we're going to have a bookmobile. And we've reached out again to GIS to find out where are routes, which would be the fastest routes, and how to deliver services to the homebound without going all across the city. So those are a few functions.
Great, thanks, Geeta. Carolyn, do you have any follow-up questions for that? All right, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue here. So what we want to talk about now is how we were able to, everyone can see my screen again, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so now we want to actually show the data that we were able to collect. Carolyn, I see you have a question here about reverse engineering this process. Absolutely, let's do that. But let's finish this quick activity and then we'll go through the process. So the next thing that we want to look at is the data that we were able to collect and enrich on top of the neighborhoods. So you can see here that if I look at this data set, now I can see in Terra Vista, $120,000 was spent on camping equipment alone, and 211 residents within Terra Vista had their oil changed. There's a better way to visualize this though. For those that were at the workshop last time, you probably remember we have different ways to change the symbology here, right? I can choose which field or which attribute I want to display in the map. And so what we're going to do is we are going to show camping equipment spending. And immediately it's going to change the color of all of the neighborhoods across the city. I've always preferred graduated symbols. This has always given me a better idea of where spending is happening. You know, the bigger the circle, the more spending. So let's go ahead and change it to that. Let's change the symbol here. I got nothing against orange, but we'll just change it to blue just for fun. And then again, for those that were here last time, you probably recall that we have the ability to change the symbol sizes to reflect the data appropriately. So I can see that the average spending across all of these Round Rock neighborhoods is $14,199. So if I want to identify neighborhoods that spend more than average, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this value to be 14,199. And immediately the smallest size changes here at the bottom. So any circles that are this size spend average or less than average. So if I'm starting up my own camping equipment company, or I'm providing marketing services for a recreational organization or business, I absolutely want to focus on Brushy Creek, right? They are way above the average. The average is spending about 14K, and Brushy Creek is spending $250,000 on camping equipment. Terra Vista is spending about 120,000. And then Paloma Lake, also above the average, $78,000. So hopefully this helps drive home the importance of utilizing the GIS resources that are available to you. And you can see here, we combined the use of proprietary GIS resources and your local municipalities' resources. So which resources did we get from the city of Round Rock? We received the neighborhoods layer, right? All we had to do was search for it, and that's provided for free. And then we also used a proprietary resource to enrich the data or add data on top of that layer through the Arcgis platform. So does anyone have any questions about this activity that we did in finding above average consumer spending for camping? Don't see anything in the chat, but I just realized we forgot to do oil changes, didn't we? I'm sure you guys want to find out where the oil changes are happening across Round Rock. So we're going to go to the symbology button right here. And we're just going to change this. Right now we're looking at camping equipment. So I want to look at oil changes. We're going to do the graduated symbols. We're going to change the color just so that we can differentiate visually camping spending from oil changes. And then we're going to change the bottom symbol to 27 because that's the average. Who has more than average oil changes across Round Rock? And then I'm going to hit OK. And right away, I can see there's a similar pattern between camping spending and oil changes. These people must be traveling more in general, right? Brushy Creek is the #1 again. They had 416 households with oil changes. Brushy Creek, 211, and Paloma Lake, or no, there it is, Paloma Lake, 110. So hopefully that kind of drives home the concept that we are working with here. Again, are there any questions before we move on to the last activity?
Yeah, quick question for you, because this is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Can you, thinking about consumer spending, so that would be last year's spending, like, can you see a pattern over time? Like, can you put in more than just 1 year at a time?
Yeah, good question. And the answer is yes, with a caveat. It depends on what data is provided by the data source. So for example, not every piece of data. So let's enrich our neighborhoods layer again. And in fact, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to pull up this. I'm going to provide this in the chat for everybody. This is the data browser. If you want to take a look at what data is available to you to look at and to enrich in your maps. And so what you'll see here, Ayaba, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. What you'll see here, Ayaba, is that not all data sets provide information for each year. So you can see here spending on educational stuff like tuition and supplies. There's data from last year and a forecast for 2025, but not 2021, 2022. Other data sets will have things from every year. Like if I come to the health category, I can see 2018 information, 2020 information, tapestry segmentation, also 2020. I think the focus of Arcgis is they want to provide the latest data from last year, because the current year hasn't been compiled completely. But on top of that, they want to provide some type of forecasting, right? So hopefully that answers the question for you. There will be some data sets provided from like previous censuses. So like you can see the 2010 census is on here. The 2020 census hasn't been compiled yet. It should be, I think the Census Bureau said they'd have it by the end of this year, but that information still isn't available. So hopefully that answers that question for you. But that's also a perfect segue into the next activity that I have for y'all, which is adding your data into this platform. Because yeah, it might be great for you to see this, but you might want to make data-driven decisions based off of the data that's contained within your customer relationship management system. So any other questions before we continue, Ayaba?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and pretend that I'm a small business owner. So I've got some mock-up data here in Excel. And you can see here, I mean, it's totally fake. This name column is various schools in Hawaii, but I want y'all to pretend that this is like maybe my, I have a database of people who purchased things from me, my invoice data. So you can, rather than Hilo High School, you can pretend that this is, you know, Joe Brown, and Holualoa Elementary is Jane Doe, right? Just pretend that these are the addresses of my customers, and I have their address, their city, their state, their phone number, and then I also have their purchase price from their most recent purchase. And so I kind of want to show y'all what it would look like if you had this data, and I'm sure all of you do, the data from every invoice that you've had, the purchase, what they bought, where they live, and you might not have their actual address, but it's important to just have something. And I've noticed, like, if I go and shop at, I love shopping at Duluth at the outlet malls, and they always ask for my zip code. And that's a very non-invasive way to get your customers' general location, because knowing their zip code, or even their city for that matter, can just help you identify the spatial patterns behind your customer base. So let's go ahead and do this. So first things first, you have to make sure the data is saved as a CSV. So once you've exported it from your database, make sure you save it as a CSV. Okay, so let me go here, and I'm just going to make sure I save it. And in order to add data from your database, you're going to have to click on Add, and you're going to click Add Layer from File. From here, it tells you the file formats that they accept, and then you can choose File. So let's go ahead and add my customer data, and then you're just going to click Import. This might be the most confusing part, because it seems intimidating at face value, but it really isn't. What it's asking you for is, hey, I looked at your CSV and I need to know which fields in your data you want me to derive locations from. Like, do you want me to just get their address? Or do you want me to just get their zip code? Or do you want me to use all of those to derive locations? And so because I have very fine-tuned data, I'm going to say, yes, this address field, use that. The city field, use that. And then you have to map it. You have to say, hey, what is this city field? Like some of you, it might say like 1 or 2 in your data set. Just make sure you say, hey, city equals city, state equals state. I think y'all get the picture there, right? And then once you've mapped those out appropriately, you're going to hit Add Layer. And now I can see where all of my customers are located. And I want to see their spending. So let's go ahead. And so here's the main window. I think you all have this process down. Click the little symbol button. And then what field? So looking at this data, what field do you feel like would give us the most value to visualize in a map? I'm going to wait for one of your responses in the chat or for you to go off mute. Let me know. Do you want to see everyone's phone number in the map? Do you want to see their name? Do you want to see how much they spent? What would be the most beneficial to us as business owners? Spending. I like it, Faith. Thank you. I agree with you. Let's look at spending. So here, I'm going to click purchase. That was the name of the field, right? Purchase. And immediately it's going to change it, right? But let's see if we can play around with this a little bit more. Again, maybe I want to identify above average spending. So $238 is the average. Where are my customers that spend the most money? Let's do green for money. I can kind of see some clusters here, right? But it's a little difficult to visualize, to be honest. Let's change the base map to something dark. And this might help me get some contrast in the map. I'm still struggling to kind of see everyone though. I have some customers up north that don't really spend that much. In Holualoa, I have some above average spending customers, but over here in the Hilo area, I can see a lot of circles, but I can't really like differentiate them visually just because they're so close to each other. So we've got a couple options here. I can change the visualization pattern again to something called a heat map. Have y'all worked with heat maps before? I'm sure you have. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to let me know where the high level of activity is occurring within my data. Where is the highest concentration of data? And I can change the area of influence as well to kind of better fit what's happening in my data set. So right off the bat, I'm also able to gain a better understanding of not only how much my customers are spending, but where's the highest concentration of customers. And this is the kind of thing that Guido was talking about that the library does at Round Rock to understand where's the highest concentration of library card registrants. We can use heat maps to identify those high concentration areas. And as I zoom in, it'll hone in on those areas even further. But at a high scale, I can see the east side of the island is where I should focus my marketing efforts and really gain a better understanding of that customer demographic because they are spending a lot more than everybody else. So I could do similar enrichment activities that we performed before. Like if I want to, again, understand that demographic, I can enrich the data. So I think what we can do you guys want to see the demographic? Cool, I got some yeses, let's do it. So if I want to see the demographic, I would need to do one of two things first. I would need to find some like census data to have some boundaries drawn here, or you can use your existing points and it will create a buffer outside of the points, and you define how large of a buffer you want. So we haven't done a buffer yet, so let's do that together. So let's go ahead and run the analysis. Let's enrich the data. And let's figure out who lives here. Let's see what kind of race information we have. We might have something better actually in the tapestry. If y'all are not familiar with tapestry segments, I would strongly encourage you to familiarize yourselves with those. That basically tells you the dominant demographic and spending the dominant like residential demographic and spending demographic for any given region. So let's see here. Let's add that. And we're going to do a buffer, let's say like 10 miles outside of each of my customers. And we're going to go ahead and run that. I'm going to change the symbology of this again, back to this. Okay, let's see what happened here. The size and number of the variables. Oh, okay. Yep, that makes sense. Because yeah, I did 10 miles. Okay, so we're going to do some detective work here on the call together. We're going to look up Hawaii census boundaries. Okay, that is a lot of census blocks. So what we're going to do is that will take forever to run. So let's look for some more data. Tracks, I think, are bigger than blocks. Yes, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to just hone in on this specific area for the just for the sake of simplicity and this activity. And then let's go ahead and run our enrichment again. Yeah, census tracts. Let's do tapestry. Is there any other information y'all are interested in? Any other demographic info? Maybe total households or total population. Let's do total households on top of that, just so I have an idea of how many homes would need to be marketed to specifically. And then we'll go ahead and run that. All right, any questions while we wait for this to run? All righty, looks like it's ready. So I'm going to turn off the old one, and this is the new one that we just made. What do y'all want to look at first? You want to look at the primary tapestry segment? Oh, you know what? Shame on me. I did not do the name. I did just the number. So we have to pull up a key now. I'll share this resource with y'all so that you have it. Let's see. Not what I'm looking for. This is what I want right here. So this is a huge resource, but it includes all of the different segments. And let's see here what the first one is. Let's pull up the data. Dominant tapestry number. So yeah, I would recommend not doing the tapestry segment number. Do the actual name, because if you have the name, then you can figure out, like, let's say the the tapestry segment was 11A, then I could look into that a little bit more, and I can find out who are city strivers. What are their spending habits? What's their typical age breakdown, their race, their ethnicity? And so you can use each of those tapestries within the map after you enrich them to understand that specific region. So you can see all of these share, some of these share the same tapestry segment. And then maybe I also want to find out how many homes are in each of these, right? So let's change that. Total households. And let's just do a single color rather than all of these crazy colors, right? So more homes will be a darker color, less homes, a lighter color. So right off the bat, after I change that symbology, I'm also able to gain a better understanding of my customers, right? Some of these customers that spend a lot of money, they live in areas where a lot of people live, and they have a very specific tapestry segment that I can do some more research into. So this was the final activity that I had for today. So just to recap all of the resources that we went over, the first thing we reviewed was our GeoHub and all of the resources that are available to you here. The second resource that we went over were, the featured applications and the content within. And then we also reviewed ArcGIS Online. Make sure you all make an account and start playing with data, searching for data. And then the last thing we reviewed was how to add your own data from your own business into this data set. There's one last thing we could talk about here, which is, can I pull in GeoHub data into ArcGIS? Absolutely. The answer is yes. If you search for any content that starts with RRTX, like we mentioned before, that is the exact same content from GeoHub. But if you find something that you're just not sure about, you can click on any layer within our GeoHub. You could either download it and then import it into ArcGIS. But if you want the data to always be up to date, I would recommend using an API. And you might be thinking, oh my God, API, I'm not a developer. I don't even know what that is. Think of it, it's just a URL and you add the URL to your map. So if you copy this geo service URL right here, I can now go into ArcGIS, add from web, and then you just paste that URL. Oh, I see. I did a filter on that. If you don't do a filter, then that will work. No problem. You'll just need to add that without clicking on the filter. Then that'll work just fine for you. There we go. So that's one additional way to kind of tie all of this together. Alrighty, well, does anybody have any last minute questions? I wanted to leave some time here at the end for y'all to maybe have a discussion about some of this or talk about these concepts, ask questions. Now would be the time. This is our last GIS workshop through Biz.ability. Yeah, no problem, Carolyn. I'm happy to help. Thanks, Regina. Appreciate that. I would also like to add, if any of you ever have questions, I'm more than happy to help wherever I can. Let's see, Karen had a good question. Where can I get help or tutorials as we explore this? Great question, Karen. If you just simply Google Learn ArcGIS, there's a great learning platform that they've put together that you can learn learn and explore any of these concepts. And you choose your experience level as well. And so most of y'all are probably new to GIS. And so you would want to click this category. And from here, it'll just go over what all of the basics are. And just as a friendly reminder, the product that we've been using today is called ArcGIS Online. you'll see various ArcGIS products like this one here, ArcGIS Insights, ArcGIS Pro. You'll want to use ArcGIS Online. That's our product we've been exploring together. Let's see here. Can you please paste the URL? Absolutely. Would you like me to paste in the new user link or just the general link? I'll put the new one in just because I'm just going to assume most of y'all are new to GIS. And then I'll put this one, get started with ArcGIS Online, since that's the one we've been doing together. Gita, you made a great point. There are ArcGIS courses on Lynda. I mean, there are resources everywhere for learning ArcGIS. There's YouTube, there's Udemy. And then if you do ever have questions specific to the GeoHub, you're more than welcome to reach out to me or just send an email here and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. How do I do that? Do you have this data? So be sure to take full advantage of the resources that we're providing to y'all. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Did anybody just want to have a conversation at a high level about something? Alrighty. Is this, I guess I have one last question for everybody. Is this content, is it helpful or you know, easy to understand, or is it just like, that just goes over my head? It looks cool, but I don't think I could ever do that. I'm very curious to understand the grasping level, if you will, of how easy it was to understand the content over these workshops, and whether or not it will be helpful as you run your businesses. Feel free to chime in, anyone, and we can make it a conversation. Okay, that's
Nathan, I thought it was very helpful. It's kind of, for me, at a stage of overview and baby steps, and before I had more questions, I probably have to play with it, which I would probably go to the resources you've given to maybe do some practice sessions on something. But I love the demo and I love the overview. I thought that was great.
Absolutely, that's totally understandable. I'm the same way. I gotta get my feet wet and my hands dirty before I can fully grasp something. So understood, and I appreciate the kind words, Karen. Thank you.
And thank you guys so much too for making a recording, because although I take really fast notes, I can't quite capture it all. So that since it's such a visual tool, it really helps to have that recording available. So thank you guys for that.
Absolutely.
Nathan, I really liked the real life example that you used, and that you, you showed us. It was a hands-on demo that was very, very useful to understand. Fantastic.
Glad to hear it. Yeah, and I would add again that if there's any other questions that you're wondering, how can I do this? Is it even possible to do this? You're welcome to reach out, and we're happy to help our citizens whenever we can.
Well, thanks again from SCORE. We really do appreciate it, Nathan. I think the information is really useful, and it looks like actually can be a little bit fun, kind of getting in there and wading around in it.
I agree. I'm such a nerd. This is how I spend my evenings and weekends, just diving into this stuff and changing up the map, putting in new data sets. Is there a correlation between this data and that data? It's a lot of fun, but I don't have as cool of data as all of y'all. You guys have probably really cool data to explore, since you have an actual customer base with spending habits and spending amounts. So I'm excited for y'all to explore it more.
I have a small comment to make. I wish I have this kind of tool 20 years ago when I worked on my thesis or on my business plan for school, for students or for grad. And also for my business. I used in the past the Google Earth, and it wasn't that much details as what I have learned from you. So I appreciate very, very much, and didn't notice so much available meanwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Carolyn. That's kind of where I started too, was Google Earth. And there's just not as much information and data available. So leveraging a real GIS tool can make a world of a difference. And GIS is growing exponentially as a field and as an industry. And so more and more data is made available every day. And, you know, that reminds me, because data is becoming more and more available, I wanted to show y'all another pro tip when you're searching for data, so that you don't grab something that's, you know, non-authoritative, or maybe it's a not reliable data source, because people can throw up anything, you know, now. When you're searching for data and you're searching all of Arcgis online, there's a button right here, and I hope everybody can see that. This little button that looks like a mixer, it's a filter button. You can only search the status for authoritative content. So like if you just want to find out things that organizations have pushed out from an authoritative standpoint, I would highly recommend filtering your search results to only show this. And when you do that, you'll see every single result in the search has a green checkbox now. That is authoritative, and it was pushed out by the city of Round Rock. I can do the same thing, you know, with anything now. So if I want to look up, say, I don't know, weather data, I can look for like data from NOAA, and I can see, yep, NOAA pushed out this weather data of coral reef virtual stations, and you know that this is legitimate. So thanks for mentioning that, Carolyn, because you may find yourself deep diving into this, some of the data that's available for 6 hours, you know, on a Saturday night, and ensuring that it's legitimate is, of course, extremely important. So thanks, Carolyn.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll call it a day. Again, much appreciated, Nathan and Gita, for hosting. And, I'll get the recording to Gita, and I think she'll send it out to those who register.
Thank you again, Nathan.
Thanks, y'all. This was fun.
Yeah. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.